Hi, this is Stacia, and I'm going to share a Blitz game that I played on leechess.org. This is part of my miniature series where we look at interesting games and try to learn something. I will admit to you that I just played a real training game on chess.com and got crushed. So part of the reason I'm doing this is to lift my spirits. I do advise to do that. Like if you have a slump or you get crushed in your chess games, it's not a bad idea to analyze one of your happy wins, and it will help get your self-confidence where it needs to be. Like a little boost. Plus, if we can learn at the same time, all the better. We never lose if we learn. That's what I tell my students. Okay, so e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and I play bishop to c4. This is the Italian game. Now, this was actually against someone rated 100 points higher than me on leechess.org. I was rated 1770. They're rated 1870. They play bishop c5. And here, I like this peculiar move, b4. So this is Evan's Gambit. If you watch my channel, you know that I play this. So we're asking the bishop to move again and maybe take a pawn. So my opponent did that. And now the idea is to build a strong center with the moves c3 and d4. And while we're doing that, black is moving their bishop every move. So that's why this is a legitimate opening. I kind of think of it as every move in the opening is worth a third of a pawn. So if you have to move 3 times and I give up a pawn, then the position should be equal. Okay, so d4. They took, and now I kind of want to play this, but I can't. It's pinned. So I have to castle. This is all theory so far. And then he played this move. It's a very daring move. So I'm actually curious if this might be a mistake. It's definitely risky. Okay, when you move your bishop 3 times in the opening and your king's in the center, you probably should, develop your pieces. Like, I would expect d6 is a good move here. I'm wondering about knight f6. I'm not sure about it. Or maybe even knight here. But taking the pawn is what I would call a very greedy move. So he does take. Now, if you let this pawn get out of control, it can be an issue sometimes. Like, for example, if I were to move my rook to e1, he might be able to play c2. That would attack the queen and the knight. I would have to do something about that, and then he could win the rook. So it stops rook e1. So it can be annoying. But queen b3, I think, is the appropriate response. So we're going to check the opening book. Oh, I'm not on the analysis board. Okay, let's see. Hang on a second. Okay, you guys see that. It transitioned nicely. All right. So the main move here is knight g to e7, and knight f6 is playable, and d6. Yes, these are the exact moves I said, because black needs to develop. They cannot leave their king here. That's just not a good idea. d3 is also a move, which I didn't know. Wow. It says black wins usually. Wow, d3. Yeah, this disrupts my development scheme. That's the point of this move. Here, I should go queen b3 or bishop a3. Computer says queen b3. That attacks f7. So they should go queen f6. Then I can go e5. Queen g6. Yeah, look at that. That's kind of annoying. kind of annoying. And then it says rook d1, which is not a move that you normally play in Evan's Gambit. So it's a good thing we're looking at this. But we're looking to collect the pawn, and then if knight to e7, we are going to collect the pawn with tempo and the queen. So that's an important line to know. Okay, so after castles though, he played d takes c3. There are 10 master games where they play this move, and usually white wins. Computer says the position's equal. Yeah, but this is highly dangerous. Okay, let me put it that way. The computer is going to calculate a million moves ahead and figure out a draw from here, but this is not easy to figure out as a human, especially in a blitz game. So queen b3 seems like the obvious move because it double attacks the pawn and f7 using a battery. So queen to e7. That defends f7, but it doesn't defend the pawn. So I actually took here with the knight, because if they do take here with the bishop, queen takes c3 is a tempo on the g pawn. That's kind of why I like this. And that did happen. Is that the best move? It is. So now black has to figure out what to do about this threat. I think knight f6 is the most normal looking move, but e5 is always in the menu now. On the menu. In the menu. It's not in the menu, it's on the menu. Okay, they did play this move. And here, let's think about this position. Pause your video. What would you play here as white? And we're going to explore some candidate moves. Go ahead and do so now. Okay, so I had some candidate moves here. I mean, I can play rook e1. That feels slow, but it does line up the rook with the queen. I could play e5 immediately. I could play bishop a3. That would attack the queen and incite the move d6, which maybe makes e5 stronger. Or I could... anything else? I don't think this amounts to anything at all. No, that just loses a bishop. This is a pin, but I think black could just simply castle against that and be fine. Is that true? Because I would go e5, and then they go takes, and then I go rook e1. Yeah, I don't know. Bishop g5 might be good. Okay, so let's look at some of these moves. Okay, I think this is how you learn at chess, as we identify our candidate moves and we look at what happens, and we get these ideas in our head, make them part of our future calculations. So bishop a3 is what I played in the game, and it is the best move. So I am happy to see it. Let's look at bishop g5. This one is a mistake because of h6. Interesting. Yeah, I do not want to take the knight. I would step back. Computer says g5. Wow. I would think my opponent's insane if they played this way. Like, why can't I just take this? Like, can I sacrifice? And if I go here, I'm maintaining the pin. Black king's in the center. I feel like there must be compensation, but the computer says no. Knight to e5. That attacks the bishop. Trying to find a way to punish this. Yeah, it's tough. Okay, computer wants to bring a rook over. I can't say I would do that. I would probably go here. And then it says rook h5. Oh, there's time for this move. Okay, maybe f4. Interesting line, isn't it? I mean, I've never had a position like this in Evan's Gambit. And if I was in this game, I wouldn't know what was going on. Computer says this is losing. Knight takes e4. Wow, look at this. That's a nice little tactical shot. It's the whole reason that this variation works. This idea of rook h5 and knight takes. Attacking the queen on c3. Wow. Interesting. Well, that's why we do these miniatures, to learn some new stuff. Okay, but this is a blitz game. I found bishop a3, which is the best move. Okay, and let's look at a couple more candidate moves. If e5 right now, I think maybe the knight can come to e4. It's always risky to put a knight here behind a pawn because the pawn takes away some escape squares. But in this case, I was gonna say the knight has the square, but I don't think he does. It still looks risky as ever to me. But I do have to move my queen. So I would probably go queen e3 and attack the knight. And now it says knight c5. Oh, this is the escape square for the knight. Interesting. And then if I go bishop a3, attacking the knight, it says d6. Black's holding on here somehow. Now that my queen's on e3, I don't have this resource anymore. Wow. Chess is hard. Okay. So we're going to go back to the game now. Bishop to a3. C6 or d6. And here I really like the look of the move e5 just because the d6 pawn is pinned. And I also have this rook resource, you know, so if I trade off my pawn, I'll be able to play here and pin the queen to the king. So I did play e5, and now he played knight takes e5. That move actually loses. He should have played knight to e4, which is kind of what we looked at before with the knight here. And after queen c2, attacking that knight, the knight could jump to c5. That breaks the pin on the d pawn. Look at that. And now if I take here, he can actually says he can take with a pawn because probably he can stick a knight in the way if I do this. Oh, even better, a bishop gets in the way. So I'm not going to win this queen. Interference, defense, blocking, I guess we should call it. Wow. These positions are so rich in Evan's Gambit. They just always are. But in the game, he took the pawn, which I think is just a flat-out blunder because now I can take this knight. You're not going to take with your pawn. That's for sure. And if you take with a queen, looks like you're going to trade queens until you see rook e1, and then you're like, oh, queen cannot go there. It's pinned, so he castled. I mean, that's got to be the worst move. I would try knight e4 here. I thought he would play knight e4, but then I have f3. Actually, I might not have f3. No, I do have a... Do I have f3? Let's see. No. He has time to take. The queen is unpinned. So I have to just go knight takes e4. And then after queen takes, yeah. We bring the other rook in. The queen is again pinned. she would have to take here because nothing, she's undefended, so she would probably have to take this move with check. This is actually a pretty interesting position though. So I have a queen and 2 bishops against 2 rooks and a bishop. Pretty interesting imbalance. Also, black has a lot of pawns, but the computer says white is winning. And I think it's because the position's fairly open and black is not developed. So 2 rooks might be okay, but not when they're in the corners like this. That is not going to be good. So I guess white is winning here. Wow. Okay, sorry, I feel like I've been going down the rabbit hole more than ever lately. Let's finish out the game, shall we? So in the game, e5, knight takes is a blunder. I took, and then queen takes. Definitely a blunder. I can simply pin, and after he castles, take the queen. And now it's a simple matter of conversion. I think this is an easy win from here. In fact, bishop takes rook looks pretty good, so I did that. And now I can just simply, yeah, after this move, I noticed that f7 is still a problem, and that if I go here, I think the best move is probably bishop e6, which just lets me trade down more. So when he went here, I actually got a checkmate. So, okay. I don't feel that much better going after this because this game seemed kind of easy, but I do feel like we learned a lot, and I hope you did too. Okay, this is Stacia, and I'll be back with more chess. All right, bye.